give us a minute. All right. I've been doing a lot of these now, and I still don't know what I'm doing. I still don't know how is it that I make this happen. It's still a bit of a mystery, and I can never remember what I'm doing, how I get to the thing I need to get to. Boggles my mind every time. Right, barely ready. See, I thought I'd scheduled it for a couple of minutes and then it just, oh no, we're just going. So, right, okay, so we're just going. Let's go then. Let's go with that. So please, just for a moment or two as I sort myself out, do let me know in the comments whether you can hear my voice, and whether you can hear the music, if one's too loud or not. I haven't got any ducking on, mate. You know. Ducking is too hard. But I can turn that down and then you can hear me, I'm assuming. But if my voice is low, I can turn that up. Because I did some recording and so all my settings are messed up from last time. I'm very quiet. Alright, I'll turn myself up. Hang on. 1, 2. Is that any better? Better? Any better? Sidechain, yeah, but you know, what into what? At what particular point is that going to happen? Where would I find a sidechain in my shed where I have a microphone going into something and something? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm not in a studio, okay? That works, good. A manual done. Yeah, I can do that. No problem. Disting what could I possibly do with the disting that would make that work? Well, no, I mean, I'm sure that has that function. It has a function of everything, so it would indeed have that function, including making my tea, I imagine. But actually understanding how one does that would be a whole other thing. A whole other thing. Right, sorry. Rather than getting engaged in personal insults right at the beginning, I'm just going to do a quick fiddle with a couple of minutes of music. And everyone just get a seat, get a beer, get a coffee, come in, and we can ease off the personal criticism of my kind of crap live streaming abilities. That'd be great. I just don't know what that's doing over there. Anyway, so yeah, welcome. So very welcome. Everyone is welcome. Everyone, of course, is very, very, welcome. I'm Robin Vincent, this is Molten Music Technology. I'm just going to have a quick fiddle and then we'll get to talking about stuff, yeah? to a lovely fade out. So yeah, there you go. So that's the first 5 minutes I've played with the Microfreak. That's exciting. Yeah. Okay, there's the thing. So hello, welcome. This is the Molten Music Technology live stream here at the very end of June. It's been a fabulously hot day, warm day. It's hot in the shed here. I was thinking about doing this outside, I then realised I don't have long enough cables. Such is life, I suppose. And here we are, and you're very, very welcome. If you've never been here before, then what happens here is that we try to generate an awesome community of ideas and thoughts and dreams that we try to realise together in this space. And if we think about them hard enough, together enough, we can actually will them into being. Or it's just me running on about synths and stuff for a couple of hours, which is probably more accurate, I should think. But you're very welcome to ask questions. I will delve into the comments because I don't really have many ideas of my own, and so need to look into the comments which I have over here, which is why I point off screen. And I'll be looking at those and talking to you and answering your questions with the weird sort of half-a-minute delay you get through YouTube, which is great. Might be playing a bit more music, might bring something else in. I don't know. What are your thoughts on what's going on at the moment? Do I have a big plan for this evening? No, not really. It's open. It's open to possibilities, as is the first choice of the evening, the beer. So I've got two, right? I thought I'll try to give you a choice again, just to see whether that creates any kind of social cohesion or anything. So first of all, I've got from Brewdog some Punk IPA, which I'm quite partial to. That's quite nice. It's cold as well. Oh. But being a bit more local, from Suffolk, I've got some Adnams Ghost Ship, which is also good, and a bit taller. A bit taller, more drunker. Although this one's stronger. So does that matter? I don't know. Anyway, so I need to drink soon because I'm getting thirsty already. So if you'd just like to post up which one you'd like me to drink, and I'll do that. Okay. Now this isn't a very beery show because it takes me the entire show to drink one beer. I'm that exciting, I know. So here we are. Let's have a delve into the comments just to say hello to people who are here. Who do we have? Let me pop the chat out, as it were. And my standard disclaimer is that the drunker I get, the more kind of generally abusive I get. No, I don't mean abusive. I mean sort of sarcastic, I suppose. Sarcastic and cynical. And I'm sorry about that. That's okay. But this is my channel. I'm allowed to kind of say and do what I like, I guess. And I don't mean nothing by it. I love everybody who comes along. It's fantastic. I love the fact that people turn up to this. It's an absolute joy. But sometimes people ask kind of strange and weird questions. And sometimes I just feel it necessary to go, what? And that's okay. It doesn't mean I don't like you. It just may be that I'm reading it wrong, or that you just brought a silly question. That's okay. All questions are welcome here. It doesn't mean that all of them will be accepted with the same amount of weight. Does that make sense? I don't know. Anyway, this is a friendly place. Please, if I accidentally insult you, I'm deeply, deeply sorry. And do tell me about it, and we can do some counselling or something afterwards. That'd be nice. So, hello. Local Technique, well done for being first. First, when I was floundering around going, oh golly, it shouldn't have started yet, I was trying to schedule it. Because now I'd stumbled upon a way of doing live streaming, right, that really worked, and you were able to set something up and then start the stream, and it wouldn't go live yet. You had a big start thing button, and I can't seem to find that again. It just starts. Once I'm trying to test things out. Is this working? Is that working? Oh, I'm live. There we go. But it doesn't seem to matter. It doesn't seem to matter. Riddler Steel, hey, how you doing? Terry, hi, good to see you. Got through all the ducking. I think you can hear me now, I hope. I mean, I'm just assuming. I just keep on going. Got green lights over there, which is always a good sign. Let me know if it's distorting or anything stupid, because that's always a possibility. I'm glad you're feeling better, Strong Mocker. Good, good. The music's way too loud. Oh, well, that's too late for that. We just did it. It's just this up anyway. So, okay. Yes, lots on the distings. Yes, I love the disting. It's always a thing. If I have a problem, I go to it and I discover the answer. But it's not an answer I can ever remember or ever find again. So it's kind of a life-saving module that's more frustrating than not having one somehow. But it's a work of genius. Of that there is no doubt. No doubt. How do I like the Microfreak? Well, this is an interesting thing, you see. I have a few synths at the moment to review and check out, and I've got a fantastic idea that I'm working on, that in order to use all these synths together in kind of a big thing and make some music with it and see whether I can sequence stuff and get them to talk to each other and all sorts of things. And that's really exciting, and I'm looking forward to doing that. I've just a couple of bits and pieces I still need, like I got some cables turned up the other day, and I realised I suddenly need MIDI cables that I hadn't needed for decades, you know. And then I wonder, oh, how do I actually connect all these things together? Because they're not all CV gate either. Lots of them are MIDI. Anyway, so Microfreak you're asking about. Yes. So how do I like it? I don't know. I mean, I know there's an awful lot of love out there for it, and I'm trying to find that. And just now having played with it, yeah, I didn't think that was half bad. I had the filter going, and that seemed to sort of work, although I have to say my Polavox filter over here was sounding better, I thought, or different. I always got to think of it as different rather than better, because it's a different sort of thing. But I have not scratched the surface on this yet. I've just had a bit of a play around, found some interesting sounds and fiddled about with those. So for me, particularly with digital based synthesis, my initial reaction is one more of kind of yeah. Whereas with an analog synth, you know, any old analog synth, I bring in the harmonium that I'm liking an awful lot, and I think this is going to be my next synth review, because I'm starting to get into this one now. I know that I can plug this in and get a great sound out straight away, but then that's because my idea of what a great sound is probably quite narrow down to that idea of kind of a fat analog bassy sound, I guess. And this can do that, but it also does a whole load of other stuff, and you tend to find those first. So initially I get a bit of a ding, a doing, a ding type sound with this, which is like, oh, okay, I'm going to have to work at that. As opposed to with this, it's just joy. Joy, 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 joy. And that's your initial starting point. That's the place where I come to. It's the same with the modal scope. I've got that as well, and there's a little bit of that with that and that. But the thing I'm going to have to do, certainly with this and certainly with the modal sculpt, is plug a real keyboard in, because I can't be doing with this thing. I mean, it has its things, it has its stuff, has its, there's a word I'm looking for, advantages? No, I don't know. Has its pros, perhaps, but I'm not enjoying it particularly. Maybe I will more at another point, maybe if once I get into the pressure and start feeling it. Because it's the sort of thing that I would absolutely have bought for my Eurorack and then used it appropriately. But I'm not convinced that this keyboard really matches the content inside particularly well. I don't know yet. Like I say, I'm just giving you my first impressions. But I quite enjoyed playing with it just a minute ago, so it's on the up at the moment. But you have to give me a bit more time with it, and I'm going to work these things out. Okay, so I'm maybe playing it again in a minute. I don't know. Bucalest keyboard, yeah. I mean, it does have a Bucalest Buca type style keyboard, but is that a good thing? I don't know. Is that a good thing? Can be, but like I say, I'm not convinced it matches the content. Or maybe it does. I don't know. Like I say, I'm still going around my head about it. All I can say is what I feel, man. That's all I can say. Let's go down here a little bit. Okay. Could one make it the Rene of sorts? I suppose. I don't know. I'm still exploring it. I mean, all you're getting here is pitch, gate, and pressure. That's not a whole lot going on with that. It's a different way of playing. Is it an enjoyable way of playing? Don't know. Again, it's different. I mean, because it's in a keyboard paradigm, in some ways you're instantly disappointed. If it was more Buchla-esque, so it wasn't actually in a keyboard paradigm, then you would probably react to it differently. But because it is, you know, good old-fashioned keyboard look, but without the keyboard thing, then you kind of trip over a little bit going, oh, well, it doesn't, I don't know. We shall see. We shall see. How similar is it to the microbrute? I have no idea. I don't think it's similar at all. No, they're not. No, they're not remotely similar. The microbrute is an analog little synthesizer thing. It doesn't have anything like the different sounds and timbres and shapes and waves and stuff that this has got. So no, very different animals. Although that I think has more patching in it. This has only really got CV gate output, which I was driving this with, the Bafako over here. And of the two, I really like what this was doing. I mean, I can, if I turn that one down, turn that back up. If I turn off the delay. And that's a lovely thing. Through the Joe filter, the Bafako even VCO. A little bit of pulse width. So that's a lovely sound. Now if I swap those two around. Take this back to basic waves. Oh, I don't know. Interesting, eh? Interesting. I thought they both sounded all right. I mean, I love the Bafako, the sound of the even VCO. I think that's great. I've got that doubled up with the square wave coming out as well for that little bit of pulse width modulation I had there, going through a Jove filter, which is just the most beautiful filter in the world. That going out with no delay on that occasion, and the Microfreak is just doing its own thing. And actually, after a little bit of tweaking, yeah, using the basic waves, yeah, okay, that sounded all right. You've also got, I mean, there's probably other things going on in here, like there seemed to be a little bit of envelope throwing itself on the filter. So there was more, it was more of a complete thing, whereas I haven't got any of that set up on here. I've just got a bit of an envelope going on, so, you know, it's a different experience. Interesting. There you are. So, okay. Martin, you missed the outside shots. Oh, God bless you. Someone noticed. See, one of the things is about doing like the Molten Music Monthlies. I did them outside. I really enjoyed doing them outside for a long time. But everything was just taking too long, and I had to try to make things quicker and easier. I mean, there was a time when I was first doing this, I'd write out an entire script, and you know, I'd be reading it and learning it and doing that and doing different takes of the camera and have it set up outside. I'd be using a particular lens, which I had to have the camera a long way away, so I couldn't always see when the camera turned itself off and things like that. So there's lots of redos having to do, let alone the focus being right or not being right. So doing it outside was lovely, but was time consuming, and I just kind of felt, oh, why don't I just try and do it at my desk? And rather than writing a script, I will just have a few notes in front of me and do it, you know, off the cuff a bit more. Could I pull that off? And certainly after doing a live stream, I thought, well, maybe I can. And the answer to that is that, yeah, I kind of can. Because, well, not because of anything, because I'm flipping awesome. No, I could seem to carry it off. And when I did that, no one seemed to notice. No one mentioned it. No one said anything about it. And so I thought, oh, well, sod it. Maybe taking all that effort to do things outside was a waste of time. So I kind of let it go. And now I sit here at my desk and do it like I do with everything else. And something is lost in that. I'm aware that something is lost in that, and I wonder whether there's an easier way I can do things outside. But then, yeah, there's kids running about, there's aircraft overhead, there's him mowing his lawn next door, and all of these things add to the time it takes to make a video, and that's difficult. And that's difficult because time is precious, man. That's the thing. But I really appreciate you pointing that out or mentioning that, assuming that that's what you meant, because you could have been talking about anything. I don't know. So where are we doing? What are we doing? What's that? Oh, wow. No. No. Get off. I've lost the ability to use a mouse. Okay, good. Right, back on it. So... Ape, you're welcome. Nice last videos. Cool, yeah. They're interested in the whole Eurorack and door thing, Bitwig thing. Is that your bag, man? Cool, because that is very interesting. So, someone got a vote for the punk. Okay, Poke's got one vote. Good, so I'm going to have to drink soon. You've got your old peculiar out. Great, Ken. That's awesome. Which is colder? They've both been in the same fridge for the same amount of time. Jim, good to see you. I don't want to talk to this. I need to talk to that. Jim, good to see you. Good. Nice. And somebody else said hello. Who else said hello that I didn't say hello to? I don't know. Santi, hi, welcome. You're very welcome. I don't recognise your name. You've probably been here every week, and so I've just embarrassed myself. Not with the big beer. Okay. Somebody said. Sunny evening. Can do all what with an app? Mr. Me, tell us, what can we do with an app? What is it that we could do with an app? What can we do with an app? What is it that we can do with an app? Yeah, the Jove is a fantastic thing. The best sound is the made by your arse. Okay, is it going to be one of those sort of nights? Maybe it's the heat. Who knows? Maybe my insults have come back to haunt me. Maybe I invited it in that tweet. I don't know. Who knows? Video on demand music. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Martin, cool. Yeah, nice one. Cheers. Thanks for that. How the Deker's dream going? Okay, update on the Deker's dream. I am moments away from doing episode 2. The only reason I haven't done it is because there's just a couple of little bits I need to get a price on. Because I've got the whole, I've priced up the whole thing, got the whole thing ready to pull the trigger on, sourced all the different parts almost. There's a couple of little bits, as I say, just got to track down those and add all the prices up so that I can go, okay, episode 2, the price is this. I can't quite do that yet. I also need to do things like put things in the basket so I can check to see whether VAT is included or not. You know, it's just housekeeping. But I've put in the hard work. I know it was flipping hard work. It was more work than I thought. I mean, I had this plan, right? I mean, I'll tell you this in the video when I do the video, but I can let you in now as you're the little exclusive club who are here. That I thought it would be a really good idea to take all of the components and stick them into something like Farnell or RS, which are UK-based component companies, just to see what the price difference would be. And I spent hours and hours. I mean, maybe probably put a day into that, trying to get that to work, trying to balance that out and find the right things. But the problem is that I don't know enough. I'm not savvy or knowledgeable enough about individual components to know that I'm picking the right one. Because when you search for a Mouser part in Farnell or RS, it doesn't necessarily give you the same one, or it gives you something similar, or it gives you alternatives. Even trying to use manufacturer part numbers doesn't always come up with the right thing. And so if I'm going to buy 500 capacitors, for instance, I need to know that they're the right ones. And when you're not entirely sure, because I just don't have the experience to know what's right and what isn't, then it becomes a bit of a problem. So after racking my brains and scratching my head, I thought, sod it, let's just stick with Mouser. I mean, Mouser is this component company in the States, and they already have all the part numbers for it. Ooh, sorry, I've just been weirded out by my camera. Why does it do that? Ah, I'm upside down. Oh, there we go. Sorry. What was I saying? Yes, Mouser. So, so it's all kind of ready to go. Although there were a few bits they don't have, and I was able to find those, I'm pretty damn sure, on the Farnell website and RS websites. So, a mixture of things. But anyway, I tried to do that, and it was just a disaster. So I'm just going to go for the Farnell. No, just going to go for the Mouser side of things. See, I'm confused about the whole Deker Stream thing, but I'm getting to the point now where I understand it a lot more because I've been through the components. I can see that the whole thing's based on 3340 chips, the same as the MS101 I've got over there. It's got that in it, and it's got 16 of those fellas to create the 8 voices, 2 oscillators per voice, and little things like that, and knowing how many VCAs it has. And you're going, oh right, that's really interesting, and it starts to open up this idea of what a polyphonic synthesizer is and what's involved in all of that. I mean, I haven't even got to buying any solder yet, but I did get a couple of extra things. I got get out of the way here, Mod. I got a pair of tweezers, right, for the surface mount stuff. And I got a new solder sucker. Now I know everybody hates my solder suckers, and they were a bit ropey, but Thonk happened to be having these ones, and they reckon it was really good because it didn't melt the end off. It's all covered in Chinese, which is excellent. So I thought I'd give that a go because I happened to be ordering. What was I ordering from them? Oh, yeah, I got. I'm losing my mind. Where are those things gone? There they are. I was getting something important from them, which now escapes me. Oh, yeah, I was getting the cables for the Complete Audio 6, trying to get those floating ring cables that take the balanced outputs of Complete Audio 6 into the URAC. That's what I was getting. But you know what it's like. You're in a shop and you're buying some cables that you desperately need, and then you spot something like this, which is a... You can't see that. Let's pick it on over here. Clock out. Can you see that? I don't suppose you can. Does it matter? It's a flashing light, right? It flashes with control voltage. So you can have it sticking as you can have it on a molt, for instance, from... Oh, yeah, that's what I can do. Hang on. This is too good to waste. Let's stick that in there. Stick that in there. Take that out of there. Plug that into there. See, look, it's an indication of your LFO. Get it? Like a couple of quid. I just thought that was genius because it's something that you can test. You can test is something working, is something coming out, and you can plug this little light into it. So I thought that was brilliant. So that's the best thing ever. Just a little flashing light, and of course you can stick it on every empty socket on your thing. Get hundreds of them. That's pretty fun. The blue one's quite bright though, I have to say. Well, anyway, what was I saying? Don't remember. Anyway, so yeah, tweezers, great. So I'm getting the stuff together. It's nearly there, and so as soon as I get a moment next week, I will finish that off and do episode 2, which will be all about the sourcing the parts and getting those together so I can get that information across. Because that is the other thing. Going through the spreadsheet, the bill of materials, it's not brilliant. It's not perfect. And I had to make a lot of notes and do a lot of research on various bits and pieces and find out what actually is this and what does this mean and is this right and is this the right number. And I feel that I've stuck a lot of information onto this spreadsheet now which other people might find useful, and so I'm going to make that available as well, so if people are building it and want a bit more of an expanded idea of what all these bits are and putting them together, because it lists them all per PCB, which is fine, but when you're ordering everything you kind of need to squash them all together so you get the quantities right, because there's a lot of cross quantity stuff going on. But as I say, going through all of this has really helped me grasp a little bit more about what building a synthesizer like a polyphonic synthesizer is all about, because it's serious stuff, man. Serious stuff. Okay, thanks for the question. Let's let's go back to where we were. Oh, I haven't there. So it was the punk, we say, yeah? Okay, cool. I'm going to pour it into glass because, like, I'm a gentleman. And I'm going to pour it off camera because I don't want any snidey comments about the size of my head. Don't you get strikes against you from YouTube for like inappropriate behaviour? Like drinking beer. Tell you what did happen on the last Molten Music Monthly is I got a copyright strike immediately because of the start of War of the Worlds. The dun dun dun. Those strings, they are copyrighted up to high heaven. Gosh, just that bit. Don't care about the rest of the music. It's just a dun dun dun. That bit. So instant. No, I'm sorry. This is copyright, mate. And I thought, I mean, when this has happened to me in the past, as it does from time to time, I've just gone back into the video and edited out those bits. You know, decided that, well, maybe I can get away without using those particular parts of the video and use something else, and so that I can enjoy the full monetization of that video. But for this one, I thought, sod it. I think it's so good that they can have it. They can have the 5p that I in royalties that I'll get from the views on that video. So yeah, so I'm not getting any money for that one. But there we go. But Jeff Wayne will get it. That's all right. Oh, sorry, that's better. So where were we doing? Any DIY stuff today? Well, funny enough, Jim, I was going to talk about your one, but it's over there. I might dig it out in a bit. But I've sort of mentioned, yeah, no is the word. That might come up later. Who knows? I'm not going to do any, but I mean, just to let you know, what I'm going to do once I've done episode 2 on the Deker's Dream about all the sourcing all the parts. I'm then going to build this little VCO that I've got. Let me show you. I'll go get it. Right, I'll go get it. So we've got time. I've just got to pull things out. Ow! That's not it. I think this is the fella. Yep. So yeah, what I hope to do is then build this fella here. Now, that's one heck of a ropey front panel. It looks like it fell off a Soviet submarine. I think that's deliberate. I don't know. I've no idea. Could be. That's fabulous. So yeah, I'm gonna build this 3340 VSO because this is the very chip that I'm going to be using in the Deker's Dream. I mean, okay, I've got one in the MS101 over there. Yeah, whatever. I want to build my own. I wonder if it's to hand. See, look at the size of that. That's a good size knob. That I'm enjoying that very much. There she goes. Yeah, so in there is the oscillator. That's the thing. That's the thing that makes all the noise. That's the thing we've all been in love with all this time. Just this little chip in here. Isn't that weird? And there's a whole bunch of these in Deker's Dream, as I say. So what the plan is, I'm just going to test out my tools. I've got a few new tools because people were berating me for using my crappy old soldering iron, and you know, somebody said something which I found quite deeply affecting. I don't know. It stayed with me, which is about making a virtue out of ignorance, and I think that's a really interesting statement. And I've thought about that a great deal since somebody said that the other week, because that's not really what I'm about. Because I make a big fuss sometimes. I've got a chip on my shoulder about people being so professional and having to have all the right gear and having to have this and having to have that. And I'm very much an advocate for just having a go with whatever you've got. You don't have to have a load of gear. You don't have to have all this sort of crap. You could have one module. You could have VCV rack, for heaven's sake. Whatever you like, just give it a bit of a go. You don't need to have an amazing soldering station. You can just have a soldering iron and a piece of sticky back plastic and go with it. I mean, that's kind of my vibe. I'm not trying to say that don't learn anything, don't know anything, don't get any good equipment. No, I mean, get whatever equipment you like, but don't make that the focus. Don't make that the reason why you can't build anything, because you don't have the right equipment. So does that make sense? But I think that idea of making a virtue out of ignorance is really interesting, and I'm going to dwell on that some more. I thought about getting Bo Beats in, right, and have a bit of a chat with him about it, because I think that would be interesting, because he's always got something to say. I think, yeah. So anyway, so what was this about? Oh yeah, so I've got a few bits and pieces in. Like, I decided to get myself a better soldering iron, one that actually has a little power pack thing with it, that stuff, just a better one, because I'm going to be flipping soldering 4,000 components into this Deker stream, and so it probably is worthwhile me getting a decent soldering iron to help me do that. So I thought, sod it, let's do that. That seems like a sensible idea, considering the amount of money I'm going to be putting into this thing. So why harm yourself? So what I mean is, with this project, this little PCB, so I'm going to build this with a view of, you know, listening to a 3340 oscillator, but also comparing how it's like to solder. God, that is a bit small. To solder with a crappy soldering iron like I've got, or my new posh one. Is there any difference to that? Because that interests me, because I'd like to say that there isn't, but of course I hope there will be. Similarly with a solder sucker or braid, do I use that? Do I not? I don't know. So yeah, try these things out. I just want to me is interesting to find out whether it is worth putting money into it, or whether that's just smoke and mirrors and professionals being annoying, like they often are with their professional ways of doing things. I rap for Signed on Sound, don't you know? Yes, I do. So yeah, so that's the next project. When will that happen? I have to try to get episode 2 of the Deker Dream done Monday or Tuesday. I don't have any pressing deadlines for about a week. So next week, hopefully, I'll get a bunch of videos done. But I also want to do the synth thing. Oh, I just don't know. There's no room. So again, if somebody wants to be a wealthy benefactor, you know, just give me 50 grand or something just for the year, every year, then I can focus more on the video. So, okay, so going down. You played with Massive X last night. Massive X, how interesting is that? We've waited for ages, 6 months overdue. Then I guess they felt they had to release it. I think it sounds great. I mean, there's a lot in there. I mean, crikey. I mean, the oscillators, lots of different choices, lots of interesting things morphing between them. Great. All that modulation in the bottom half, just all over the place. A weird performance. Is it a performance sequencer? It's not a sequencer. It's, you know, as it seems to be aligned to be drawing curves and lines of stuff as a modulation sequencer thing into other things. Interesting. And then you've got the T section at the end, which I don't fully understand, which seems to change things depending on where you are on the keyboard. Again, weird. I mean, there's areas in there that you don't normally think of as modulation areas, which you can then suddenly use. And you've got all those, is it 9 slots for LFOs and envelopes and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, that's quite a piece of work, except for the kind of the annoying elephant in the room, which is that why do you just have a picture of an envelope? Why doesn't it move? What is that about? I don't get it. I don't get it. Did someone say we need it to look like this and gave them a picture of what it's supposed to look like, you know, with an envelope and stuff, and so they just drew an envelope on there, as opposed to making it an envelope that moves when you move the knobs, if you see what I mean. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's supposed to be graphically helpful. I mean, what I really think is that they just haven't had time. They've had to release it because the sound engine was ready. Just some of the interface malarkey and connections perhaps weren't yet working. Or maybe it was just too hard. Maybe it was too graphically hard, too much processing power. I don't know. Difficult to say. But the lack of those... I mean, just not have it. It would be better if they did not put that picture on. Because you want it to move and it doesn't, and then you're confused. What and what? So it would be better that they just remove that completely and let you just have a few knobs that are then set to what it's supposed to be. I mean, we can cope with that. We can cope with that all the time. It doesn't have to be a graphical representation of it. Just the fact that that's there drives us crazy. Drives me crazy. Anyway. And then the other thing is that the modulation doesn't move the knobs. I mean, it's flipping software. It's the one thing that software has over hardware is that you can animate everything. So you know what everything's doing and how it's responding to stuff. That's the one thing it can do, and it doesn't. I'm confused. So Massive X sounds phenomenal. Confused about its implementation. You know, the interaction of the interface. But I imagine version 1.2 or something will probably be along in September, and all those things will be sorted out. That's my prediction, anyway. Great sounding sequence, yes. Oh, back to the made up my arse business. Okay, so let's scroll down a little bit then. See what else we got. Missing a slight production quality. What quality is that? Exactly. This is a live stream, right? You know that it's just coming from here into my audio interface up right over the internet. It's not going through any kind of gear or stuff. It's just the output. Production quality. That's hilarious. Wait for the album, mate. Wait for the album, right? Because I'll spend at least half an hour in some mastering software. Then it'll sound awesome. Geister Sound, welcome. Yes, you're very welcome. It's lovely to catch you also. I mean, it's very much a mutual thing, I think. Mostly random. Hi, how you doing? Jim, good to see you. How was it easy to source the parts, says Mostly Random. Have I sort of said that? It should be easy. The majority of them can come from Mouser. Some of the bits were out of stock, so you can either wait or you can get them from another shop. But again, most of them were easy. There's a whole load of stuff that's linked to on eBay, which just didn't seem necessary. Talking about the Deker's Dream again, in case somebody's missed what we're talking about. So there's a lot of things on there which were linked to an eBay, and the weird thing about the eBay thing is that you just wanted 2 of these sort of riser things. So okay, I need 2 of those. And you go, so to buy one, how much is it? You can't buy one, you have to buy 100. All right, how much is it to buy 100? 99 cents. Right. So I have to buy 100 for £1. And then you do find someone who sells one, and they're a £5. You go, right, so I can buy 2 for a tenner, or I can buy 100 for £1. This is really weird. So I don't know what that's about. I mean, I'm assuming there's a whole bunch of people who have built Deker's Dream who are sitting around with pots of this stuff that they're not using. And I did put a post out on the Facebook group to say, are people sitting around with pots of this stuff because you have to order 100? And nobody seemed to reply. So, but I found that with most of those eBay links, you could actually find the same thing in component shops relatively easily. So I'm not sure what happened there. It's almost as if perhaps Mouser didn't have those particular things at the time, and now it does, or something, and the BOM hasn't been updated. I don't know. I'm making this up as I go, but with most of those, they're relatively cheap, easy bits, and so if I'm not 1000% sure that it's the right thing, I might just get it anyway, because I kind of think it will be. Things like the slots that the cars go into, they seem to be the right ones on Mouser, and yet they link to them in eBay, and there's a slight, I don't know, is it the same thing? Is it not? Is it the same thing? I don't know. So, you know, I might chance it a little bit so that I don't end up with pots of this stuff that I'm not using. But ultimately, I might have to go back and get them off eBay. We shall see. But was it easy? No, it took a bit of work and a bit of thought, but that's no bad thing, because it's helpful in getting me to, I mean, it's helpful in getting me to slap things and to throw things around and to swear at my computer, but it's also useful in getting me to understand more about the components that I'm trying to get into this machine. That's the way I'm trying to look at it positively. You see what I mean? No, don't think twice, just go do it. Don't think twice. Yeah, so am I, looking forward to seeing how it progresses. Am I going to attempt to use VCV Rack? Yeah, I mean, I had a go of it the other day. I really like how it's come on. I haven't played with it much since version 0.3, 0.0.0.3. So I like what they've done with version 1. The browsing of the modules is far, far better than it was. The fact that it starts up with a template that makes a noise, that's also a good thing. I applaud that you have a basic synth voice. Although, why don't they call the mixer a VCA? I don't know. So yeah, I mean, it's looking phenomenal. It's too big for me. I can't wrap my head around it, really. You know, I like having a few things. I've really enjoyed having this into a little voice. I just because wrote an article for someone or other all about building a synth voice in Eurorack, and so I took out an oscillator, a filter, a VCA, an envelope, that kind of thing, and stuck it in my little Moog 32, Mother 32 case, and it's been great. I've really enjoyed having something this small and just playing with that. That's been fantastic. VCV rack, is that times 3,000? It's just, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, some people have really gotten into it and done some fabulous work. I really do. I'm very impressed by what people can do with it. I don't know whether it's somewhere I'm going to spend an awful lot of time myself, because I mean, I've only got so much space, so much mind space for this sort of thing. But yeah, I think it's great. I've always enjoyed it, always supported it. Fantastic thing. And if I get a chance, I will try to do something interesting with it. Although, I mean, some things like Bitwig 3, for instance, is slightly more interesting because it's bringing together different worlds. VCV Rack doesn't really do that. It's fantastic and does its own thing, although you've now got MIDI out, which does make that more interesting again. But I think there's going to be more people perhaps looking into something like Bitwig to try to connect these worlds together. And so that interests me a bit more. And again, it's a bit more contained somehow. A bit more contained. I haven't actually tried the new VCV Rack on the Surface Pro yet. I did try it back on 0.6, I think, and the touch was a little bit kind of, ooh, I'm not quite sure that's working, and I spoke to them about it a little bit, and they said, yeah, I'm not quite sure that's working either. So I should probably try that again, because they may have improved it, but I understand that they haven't particularly, and it's not something that they're particularly interested in at the moment, but there we go. I may well give that a go. You found Mouser easy and convenient. Cool, yeah. I've had no problem with Mouser at all. It seems to have worked, and I've now just thrown all this all over the place. Oh, I'm back at the beginning. No, let's come back down here. Okay, back down. Comments. Back to that. You got Surface Pro 3 and VCV just doesn't work on it. That's interesting. I used it. Did I use it on the Surface Pro 3 or did I have the 4 by then? Pretty sure I had it working. It was at least the 4. Yeah, maybe it was a 4, maybe not the 3. I mean, it is a bit CPU intensive. That much is true. And I recall, there's glimmers of memory in my head that it crackled a lot on when I loaded presets. But when I was just playing around with a couple of modules, it seemed to be okay. But, I don't know. Your experience is your experience. I made someone laugh, sorry, I'm zoning out. Okay, read some more. Okay, you should get a jeweler's loupe. Yeah, people have talked about that. Jeweler's loupes. I think that's a great thing to have to get. I mean, particularly I really like the sort of the steampunk ones that extend and then they've got flip things that come in. I mean, just having one of those generally for going to parties and stuff, I think is a really great idea. I don't know. I mean, my eyes are shot. I don't know whether this is going to work in terms of surface mount. But I mean, I do know that the surface mount with a Deker Stream are not particularly weeny. They are mostly to do with these capacitors, which are relatively, I don't have anything to show you that would have a similar size, but they're relatively chunky as it goes, relatively chunky. So a pair of tweezers should be all right. And I do have the little magnifying glass on a thing. I do have that, and I've got a big one on a light, so that might do it. Oh yeah, and I got those ones that my dad sent me from the 1950s. Down here somewhere. Isn't that just the greatest box in the world? See, this is genuine old school stuff. He's had this knocking around in his workshop forever. And see, that's the sort of thing, eh? And it's even got a light on, I think. There we go. See, I'm completely sorted. I don't think I need anything else. See, they work close up as well. They're not quite so good far away. And I probably need to take the glasses off. But they're fantastic. So yeah, maybe I'll get those out. I don't know. This is such a voyage of discovery. We've got no idea. It's back in there somehow. See, and in this week's episode, Robin attempts to put something back in a box. Get in there. Cool. Right. Yes. So what was I saying? Okay. The 6s and 7s are so expensive. I have no idea what that means. But you can always throw that in again, and I'll see if I can work that out. You've got that solder sucker. Okay, good. That's a +1 for the solder sucker. I knew it was a good one. I knew it. So I got one that keeps just exploding every time you pop it. It goes falls apart. So it's good. No, you didn't say that. I remind you of the Mad Professor from the Muppet Show. Do you mean the professor who talks about things, or the me, or Beaker? Do you mean Beaker? I'd be more. Would I be more offended? No, I don't know. No, I don't know necessarily. A set of what on Kickstarter? I feel like I'm halfway in somebody else's conversation, which is probably true. Am I at the bottom of this thing yet? Yeah, all more. Oh, no. Okay. Ooh. No, I've missed a whole load of stuff. Okay, back up to here. Okay, working it way down. CV light. Yeah, it is amazing. See, so I always get tripped up by this sort of minute and a half delay time between what I'm talking about and then you actually hearing that through the magic of the internet. And then the comments get weird because anyway, we all know how this works. We're all internet savvy type people. Okay, well, Jim, honestly, it sounds like you need ASIO for all or some kind of sensible audio engine in order for VCV Rack to interpret that properly. Trying to use ASIO DirectX, oh no, that's always a disaster, really. So yeah, you probably need to look into the driver architecture that you're using. I recommend going to asioforall.com and trying that to see whether that wraps your drivers better and gives VCV Rack something to hook itself into. That's what I would suggest. Access 203. Yeah, War of the Worlds. Since I did that thing last weekend, it was last Saturday. It's been in my head constantly. I can't seem to lose it because I mean that record, that War of the Worlds record, has been such a part of my life, extraordinarily. You know, it's haunted my dreams. It's done all sorts of things to me, and it's always been a constant presence. And having that refueled last weekend was amazing, and now it's in my head the whole time. The whole time, it's there. Anyway, I could sing the whole thing to you, but I don't think that's what we're here for. I would then get a strike. I'd get a copyright claim again, which is no good. No good. Da-ba-da. The only problem with all the copyright claims is that according to US laws, copyright claims are to be brought in civil court and only by the copyright holder. Why is that a problem exactly? What problem do you see? I don't know. I mean, I guess the whole copyright thing with YouTube is the threat of something, because ultimately we don't want to be making money off somebody else's work. You know, it comes from a place of trying to regulate this kind of thing, but at the same time, YouTube is packed full of people who are doing new creative works with existing creative works, and I think generally speaking that's okay. But then I've never been on the other end of that. I mean, I have seen people steal my videos and upload them for themselves, and that's not a nice feeling, and I've asked them to be taken down and they have been. So, you know, if the fact that I'm using a third of a second sample from War of the Worlds, does that mean they should have all the revenue from that video? I don't know, that seems steep to me. But then I didn't ask to use it, but at the same time I'm using it to promote their music and their thing. So it's a sort of thing where you think, you know, a conversation would be great, because I'm not making money because I included their sample, you know, if you see what I mean. But it's not the sort of conversation you have. Those conversations do not exist. I tried challenging one of these things before and it really didn't get anywhere. Oh, apparently something. Oh, I'm getting dinged. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not the sort of thing I really want to get deep into, because it just ends up getting silly. Ultimately, make your own stuff. Don't steal other people's stuff and stick it in your videos. Make your own. Gotta make your own kind of music. Okay. Eugene, I'm glad that you decided to enter the conversation. I'm sad that you retracted your message. So, Mr. Cisco, why do you get claims? Yeah, I haven't got any strikes either. It's just a claim. Why do you get claims with every video that you do? Are you doing covers or something? Is that what it is? I mean, yeah, I'd like to know. I mean, I'm really genuinely interested as to why you, which you might say in the comments down here. I don't know why you get claims against your videos. What sort of videos are you making that get those sorts of claims? No, it's not just you, mostly random. The Massive X interface does look naff. I mean, I don't mind the colour particularly, and I like the way that when you morph the waves and stuff like that, that's really nice. There's some good touches to it, but I don't know, it's not awesome. And the fact that it doesn't animate, as I said. So yeah. I have seen the AE modular stuff. Yeah, I haven't played with it particularly. I'm not massively into the little patch wires. I've played with the Vulkan modular, which has the patch wires, and it's just fiddly. It's just a bit fiddly. I think it's a great idea, but it lacks glamour. That's the problem with the AE modular. I think it's a great idea trying to do something simple and cheap, and I've got no problem with like handwritten front panels and bits and pieces, that kind of thing. It's just, it needs, I don't know, it needs something. It just looks a bit kind of, it looks a bit, it needs to be something somehow more special, because, I mean, something that I've realised when taking out of these, because these are some of my favourite modules, and my rack here actually looks rather dull without them. It's very silver, very black. Whereas these are kind of the more colourful modules, which is interesting. Well, I found that interesting. But all I mean by that is that the aesthetic is important. How it looks is important. And some of that is to do with why I like these modules. Obviously, it's sound as well, but the look of them absolutely plays a part. And so with AE modular looking kind of a bit ropey, it doesn't inspire somehow. I mean, that's terribly, desperately unfair, I know, but I'm just trying to articulate out how I feel about that. I mean, there's some kind of similar vibe behind the Equinox synths. Again, great, fantastic idea, good, cheap modules. It's just they look a bit like it, and I don't know whether I'd like all of them together in a row. but then to get them cheap, you need to go easy on the front panels. But I mean, I kind of like the idea. I mean, it's like the white line range from Dreadbox. That was a really good idea, I felt, because they had this range of cheap, good quality modules, but they had like a pattern and a thing going through it. So each module had a little bit of individuality to it, as well as looking good individually in a system, and they'd look great together as well. You know, I think that's a big element, and that seems to be missing from the budget end. I mean, Doper, again, they do the same. They got nothing going on with that. Although I really like the fact that they've released black panels, which are a bit more interesting. Black and silver. So, I don't know. But I think as a concept and as sound quality and stuff, it was great. I mean, they were next to Instruo at Superbooth. And while I was trying to talk to the Instruo guy about the and the whole, they were banging out techno next door, making an awful row. But it sounded great. It sounded very loud. It sounded great. So I don't think there's any problem with the sound quality or what you can do with it. It just lacks some rock and roll, lacks some glamour somehow that this stuff just has. It just exudes it, you know. Ba 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 da. I am 10 minutes behind the chat. I know. What time are we on? Good Lord, that was an hour. See, I told you I can just talk a load of old crap for an hour. No problem. VCV rack with the ES8. Yeah. I can see how that would work. But I think you say you like Bitwig Grid as well, which is good. I mean, I think it just has a different feel. VCV rack has a very Eurorack feel. And my feeling, same as Soft Tube Modular, same with Voltage Modular, is that Eurorack Modular with a mouse is a bit of a faff. There's too much to do. You know, dragging. And you're doing a lot through this one thing. Whereas in Eurorack proper, you're using both hands and you're moving about and plugging stuff in and plugging stuff in. It's just different, you know. Whereas in Bitwig, you're working differently. You're dragging and dropping stuff to create and bind, to bind stuff together. I mean, what we're talking about is kind of exactly the same thing, but it isn't, all right? It's just different. It just feels different. Connections are made, and you know what's going on. There's one thing in the Polygrid that I don't quite understand. It's with the LFO, right? You drop an LFO in, and it's got a nice big knob, and the knob changes the shape. It's like, no, I don't want that. I want it to change the speed. How do I change the speed? Oh, the speed is changed by a little tiny number down the bottom. All right, click on that and move it about. It hardly changes anything. So then change it from kilohertz to hertz, and then it goes, oh, really big, or not. Or you change it to something else. It used to have, when you had the CV out and you had the modulator, it had a really big knob on it, which was the speed. And that was great, and that's what you need. I just need, speed up and down. That's all round. That's all you need. I don't understand why they've changed that and why they've made that a lesser feature than the lean of it. I don't know. I found that really strange. It just makes, because often with LFOs I find you want to go wop, 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 and that's easy to do with a mouse and a knob, but not so easy to do in the current version of Bitwig 3. So that's curious. I will try to feed that back to them at some point, but I did find that I could attach another knob to it and use that via some other patch and turn that knob up, and that seemed to do the job a little bit. So maybe I just have to build that in. Ooh, I don't know. You got a microscope for surface mount. Cool, geez. The Hydronium, yes, the Hydronium is this fella here, bright yellow, gorgeous, isn't it? It's available as a desktop unit and a Eurorack. It's from a company called Rare Waves, and I spent a bit of time with it. It sounds great. So essentially, it's a 303, right? Think of it as a 303. So you've got an oscillator in there, and a filter, resonance, filter envelope, also important, a little bit of decay, glide, that kind of thing. So it just does rock and roll acid, which is brilliant. So I'm going to be doing a bit of a video on that very soon, I hope. Need to get one of these done, and then it will form part of my big synthesizer ensemble, which is great. Right, let's see where we are. Yeah, no, it's HoloLens 0.5. Yeah, I like that. That is brilliant. So do the SMT surface mount bits first, you say? Yeah, I think that's a good idea, because that's going to go bad, I imagine. So why waste your time breaking other things before you get those bits right? Yeah. A 10-inch loopy? That's not going to fit in your face, is it? 10 inches is this. How are you going to squeeze that in your eye? Hey, what are you talking about? That can't possibly be right. You must be nuts. You should wear those on stage. Yeah, but you'd have to get really, really close to stuff. That's the only problem. I mean, the lights are good, but you'd have to play your keyboard like this, because otherwise you can't see anything. Yeah, I do have a big magnifier with a lamp in the background. Is it any good? No, not really. I mean, the lights, it's useful. It's a ring light with a magnifying glass in the middle. And it does magnify, so it does work to a degree. It's just not a massive magnifier in particular. I found it useful for trying to find bent pins on motherboards, things like that. So it has come in useful, but it doesn't ever stay in the right place. It doesn't, you know, it comes out and you go, right, just about there, and then it goes, doing, and you bring it back out, you get about and try and tighten things up, and kind of like that. And he goes, you're doing. So it's ultimately a big bag of frustration, but it's useful when I need to use it. It's there, so I use it. When is someone going to make a proper AR synth? AR synth. Augmented reality synth? They've done that already, haven't they? They did some crazy thing in Ableton Live where you wave your hands about going boink, boink, doom, ch, doom, doom, ch, and then your arms fall off because it's too hurty. But, yeah, maybe it will come. Maybe it will come. The meat dude. Yeah, maybe. I can go with that. I can go with being Beaker. That's fine. You just got the Korg Vulcan modular. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I don't have... I mean, I've got a micro Korg. I find if I have a Korg piano in the house. And really what I want is a Korg SV1. But anyway, yeah, I don't have any Vulcans. I have played with them at synth meets and stuff. Yeah, I'm sort of thinking about that because, I mean, funny enough, actually, here's a question for you while I'm trying to scoop up all the other questions and comments and stuff, is that I need a drum machine. I need a drum machine, and I don't know who to lean on the most. I mean, because I've got all these synths together, which is great, and I'm going to start making music with these synths, but I'm going to need, I believe, some kind of drum machine in there too. Now, there's things like the Volca Beats and the Volca Drum from Korg. There's, of course, the Uno drum from IK. There's the RD8 from Behringer. Probably something from Electron, Joe Mox, the Pulsar 23, of course, that's never going to happen. For me, I mean. So I'm in the market for a drum machine of some kind. I don't want it to be overly complex or do 1,000 other things. I just want a drum machine. That's actually what appeals to me with the Uno drum, is that that's what it does. It just does that. So if you have any recommendations, do stick them in, and I will see them in about 5 minutes time, I imagine, and we can talk about it some more. YouTube has no right to enforce copyrights. Oh, okay. Do you know why the Korg Mini Loge hasn't been available since May? No, I have no idea. I don't keep an eye on shop stocks of stuff, but that's a surprise. I mean, they've got the desktop one coming out soon as well, I think. I haven't been aware of a release date on that, but I haven't really kept up on it. So, no, are they out? That's interesting. They have recently updated the previous one. Maybe they're... Oh, no, it's all down to production problems, isn't it? And popularity. If something is too popular, it sells out. Like with the Behringer MS-101, they sold out those almost immediately, and only just now are the black ones starting to emerge. I mean, that's months later. Absolutely months later. Michael, thank you for that. VCV rack and a simple 4-note keyboard input works fine. With polyphony on a Surface Pro 2017. Cool. So there you go. Maybe it's just Surface Pro 3 is just not quite kicking it enough. Maybe that's just how it is. Oh, Cisco, right. So all your covers are copyrighted and royalties paid. Okay, and YouTube doesn't care. Well, yeah, no, that I think is a great point. In as much as that I've had copyright strikes against myself for my own material, which is just nonsense. Because there is no way you can talk. You can't have a conversation about it, and therefore it will change. You can't. You just sit there and have to take it because it's YouTube. So yeah, I completely sympathise with you there. Because I put stupidly, YouTube said, hey, why don't you put, oh no, it wasn't YouTube's fault, it was TuneCore's fault. TuneCore, who I distribute some of my old music with, they said, why don't you put it on YouTube? You can make a load of money from people using your stuff or something. I can't remember what the deal was. But anyway, so I said, yeah, sure, okay, let's stick it on YouTube. And so instantly, the theme tune that I use in my videos was copyrighted, and so I couldn't use it myself. Otherwise, the copyright would be awarded to me via another means, and that was too complicated to rip my head around. So I just thought, stop it, I'll change the music. I'll take that off. So yeah, no, I can completely sympathise with that sort of thing. I know I can't even think of a way to work around it. You have to start doing it on Vimeo and charge for it, or I don't know. No, I don't know what the answer is to that, but that's certainly a weird loophole or problem about the whole automated YouTube thing. Maybe that will come. Oh, who knows? Who knows? Tricky one, mate. Don't know what to say about that. Oh, is Cure playing tonight at Glastonbury? Wow. Wow. That would be a thing. Yeah, I completely forgot all about that. Similarly, the football, who are we playing? Oh, no, I know who we're playing. We're playing... No, I can't remember. On Tuesday. Playing... the Netherlands? Sweden? No. Oh, God, I can't remember. Anyway, I'm sure it doesn't matter. I'm sure it'll be excellent. No, we're playing USA. Aren't we? Losing my mind. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Oh, anyway, so cool. Yes, they are. The Instruo modules. Now, okay, Instruo, gorgeous modules, right? Eurorack modules, fantastic. I mean, imagine having a rack full of those. But hold on to your pants, because Folktech are also got a whole load of stuff brewing. Keep seeing images on Instagram where you just go, oh, what the heck is that? I mean, that's just what is that? But there's never any information. They have a worse website than Instruo, if that's completely possible. It doesn't tell you anything. They're like such artists and creative people that they can't be asked with anything like a website with information on it. You know, it's just not possible. So, but they've got some magical looking stuff. I mean, can you imagine a row of Instruo and a row of Folktech? I mean, that would be one hell of a hippie kind of Euro rack. That would be my scene, man. Fantastic. Oh yes. Oh, it's expensive though. Yeah, but no, both of those things coming along, just wow, amazing, amazing stuff. Wow, they really do keep talking. I'm never getting to the bottom of this. Okay. See, I know what I'm talking about. I do, honestly. I try really hard. Yeah, the Disting does have great lights. The Disting lights are awesome. The connectivity of that bloody patch cable in that bloody socket is rubbish. I hate it. So much so that I can no longer have a Disting up here. It just doesn't work. If I have a Disting upright, the cable just comes out. It just gets pulled out whenever I'm doing anything else. So I have to have it in this part here so that it doesn't lose it. I mean, it's not a complete disaster, but it's on the edge of being acceptable. Do you know what I mean? But the lights are fabulous, and they do tell you stuff, mostly. So is it hot where you are? People complain about the heat. It's cooled down nicely over here in merry old England now, at least in the east of England anyway. We had our hot day yesterday, which was all right. Got through it. I had a I had a kung fu grading yesterday, which was in the heat. Well, about 5 o'clock in the evening, so it wasn't too bad, but it's still a bit hot and sweaty, I have to say, for jumping around with big swords. But it was fun nonetheless. Fun nonetheless. I think I might be something called Cobra now. I've never really kept up with what it is we keep doing. I keep getting little things to stick on my belt. And it seems somehow sacrilegious to sew things onto a black belt. That just doesn't seem to, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Maybe I'll give it a go. Who knows? Just keep at it. That's the important thing. Oh, flies though. Got a lot of that going on. Climate change, yeah, absolutely. Hello from France. France, I thought you were on fire in France. I thought you just melted all into the pavements and there was no longer any people because it had gone be completely inhabitable. Or was it because your swimming trunks got so small that everyone just disappeared into their bathing suits? I don't know. France is a funny place. I'm going there this summer. Thoroughly looking forward to it because I love France. It's got some awesome stuff. So looking forward to spending some time in Paris. I mean, assuming there's no riots, of course, on that particular weekend. And it's not so hot that we all just die from heat exhaustion by being trapped on a Disney ride. I mean, those are things I'm looking forward to the most, I think. But yeah, hello, you're very welcome here. Never a dull moment in France. Ovation circuit. Is that in reference to Drum Machine? I have an Ovation circuit. It was kind of almost the first thing that started tipping me back towards hardware, and I enjoyed playing that a lot a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago. But I had frustrations with it in as much I couldn't seem to get my head around exactly what I was looking at. I could never quite... I mean, the thing it does brilliantly is you set stuff going, go into the mixer page, turn stuff off, turn stuff on, turn stuff off, turn stuff on, play with the filter. Brilliant. I can do that all night. That's great. But creating interesting drum patterns with it, it felt too hard. I don't like having 2 rows of 8s. I'd much rather have one long row of something. The 2 rows things does my head in. So But yeah, I mean, I do have one, so maybe I should be doing that. Well, it gives me an option, doesn't it? I mean, because part of the project is to have all these new little synths doing this thing together. So it'd be nice to have a new little drum machine. Besides, I just want more gear. I need another piece of gear. So don't tell me I should be using something I already have. That's not going to fly, man. Can't be doing with that. Oh, that's got me thinking. Yeah. Soft tube heartbeat with the BeatStep Pro. That's interesting. See, I think I have heartbeat on soft tube modular. I've never really looked into it very deeply. I mean, I did think about building a Eurorack drum machine. I mean, I've got a Pico drum, so that's got 2 sounds in it. And I have a 2HP hat, which has open and closed. So that kind of is almost a drum kit. And then what would I pattern it with? But I don't have anything that creates interesting patterns. I've got the random rhythm up here, which could create interesting patterns, but it's just that they would be very much on the random side of things rather than me actually trying to do something with it. To be more controllable, I'd need something more like the Varigate 8, I suppose, some kind of trigger sequencer. Although I could do it at the Varigate 4. I do have 4 channels, but I would get lost in trying to switch between channels, that's the only thing. Yeah, interesting. And again, that doesn't get me new stuff. I need something to get me new stuff. Vocal drum, someone gets a thumbs up for that. Cool. Digitac. Is that a drum machine? I always saw it as more of a kind of a sampler workstation thing. Is it a drum machine? Because, you know, me and Electron, for some reason, we can't quite focus on each other. I can't quite get what Electron is all about. I keep looking at it, and it's a black box with buttons on it, and I'm sure it's great. I can't seem to connect with it. There's no emotional response between me and this piece of gear. I can't. It's like I don't know why that is. And so they all kind of blend into one. Is it one machine? Are they different machines? Do they do things differently? Is it? I thought it was an FM synth. Oh no, that's the other one. Or is it a sampler? Oh, I don't know. Is it a drum machine? Oh, I don't know. You see, that's what I mean. I get very confused over the whole Electron thing. But if you know, maybe that's something I need to look at again. Well, of course. I mean, there has to be room for Electron in my life, I suppose. I can't be the only one who's not doing it. The DFAM, yeah, that's a thought. I understand the DFAM is excellent. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about it that people really like. I've not had a play on one, so I have no concept of it at all, other than it's a very similar size to Mother 32, and people seem to like it. But I'm not really sure what it is about it that they like exactly. And would I like that? I don't know, but it's a good one. But Moog don't tend to give away stuff very often, so that seems unlikely. And I don't have a £600 budget for something like that at the moment. The proc drums, yes, that's a possibility. Yeah. But again, how am I triggering it? How am I programming it? How am I actually sending patterns to it? Does that matter? Does that matter? Maybe I need to look into how you do drumming in Eurorack more, because it's at the moment it's something I do very basically. You know, as I say, I've got the Pico drum, so I tend to send something to it to throw the kick, an occasional clap or a snare or something like that, and a few hi-hats. Or I use the Bacillus Artillatus Alter for a little bit of percussion side of things, which I quite enjoy that. But there's no structure to it. You know, I'm either just kicking something in and then taking that out and putting that back in again. Maybe I need something more than that, or maybe I don't. You see, these are the questions I'm asking myself. You've got the TR9. Sound on the vocal beats doesn't quite cut it. Interesting. Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Ken. Drum Brute Impact. Yeah, there's a thought. Yeah, there's a couple of our Arturio drum machines, isn't there? I mean, I've already got this fella going on, and I felt quite fortunate to receive this. I'm not quite sure the likelihood of getting another one, but that's a good question. I mean, I think, yeah. Oh. there's just a lot of those about. I'd quite like something a bit different. I'm so hard to please. It's a good suggestion though. Good suggestion. Yeah, I mean the Pulsar 23 is what I would want to have. That's the thing that I would want to have, but it's £1,000. You know, they're not going to give me one of those, and I'm unlikely to be able to purchase one anytime soon. But that looks phenomenal for all the wrong reasons. But I also get the feeling that once I put that on the table, all the other stuff will become irrelevant, and you'll just be playing with that. Maybe. Don't know. Don't know. The Rossum Assimilator Sampler. Now, Electro Rossum, that Emu stuff, right? It's not. It is. I mean, my reaction always against seeing the Rossum stuff demonstrated is that, God gracious, that's hideously complicated. I mean, there's just so much going on. It's somehow multi-layered and multifaceted, and I'm not entirely sure that I understand what the man is saying. And there's, I don't know, there's not very much in the interface that inspires. It doesn't leap out at me and go, yeah, you can play with this. It leaps out at me and goes, this is a piece of scientific equipment and you need to be very clever in order to use it. And that's the impression that I get from this stuff. So I don't know, without having tried it, of course, that something like the Assimilator would actually give me too much joy. I feel I would be fighting with it in trying to get something to do what I thought it was supposed to do. Something, perhaps an alternative would be the Busy Circuits one, whatever that's called, I forget now, but they've got a sampler, and the reason why I think that might be better is because it just seems so much simpler. It just, you record in, cut it up, off you go. Or, perhaps even better, the sample slicer, because I have a sample slicer as a kit over there in a box that I've had for a year that I have not had the time to put together yet. Maybe I need to look into that. But then I've got to sample stuff from somewhere to make. I'll have to, you bring a little player with drum sounds on it and play it into it? I don't know. How does that work? I've no idea. How would you do it on the Assimilator? Again, I don't have any clue. Interesting. Sweden, thank you. What was the question? What was the last gig everybody went to? The answer is Sweden, apparently. Bo Beats! Good Lord! How long have you been lurking around there? You've probably gone off now to do something more interesting. Lovely to see you, mate. Thank you. I mean, funnily enough, I did actually purchase a new shirt for this evening, but it was so hot and sweaty that I didn't want to ruin it in a hot and sweaty environment, so I just went with what I was kind of already wearing. But so I have a new shirt, which is very exciting. I will bring that out. I'm going to have to pick a special video for it, I think. Special video. Because it's, you know, I mean, this has all been Joe Brown's shirts, which I've been, you know, relatively happy with for many, many years. And many of them are falling apart. And so I thought, sorry, I'm going to spend £100 on a shirt. Just like I am. And I found this place that just was... I was bombarded by adverts. I mean, I thought this thing about maybe I should get a high quality shirt, as you know, the sleeve came off one of my other ones, and so you know, the internet got hold of that brainwave and then was throwing me adverts from this place called Blake Mill, one or the other, constantly, and I thought, well, actually, they do look quite nice, so I picked up one of those. So I will debut that very soon. That's exciting. That's exciting. So have I got to the bottom of this chat yet? No, there's still more. Oh, flipping heck. I've lost where I am again. I'm such a pro. Somebody says yes. Oh my goodness. Am I really that far behind? So Sorry. I just need to not keep talking, I suppose. But then what am I doing here if I'm not doing that? I don't know. Anyway, so yes. When he actually sees it in 10 minutes, yes, all right, yeah, you got the hang of what I'm doing here. Maybe I need a producer, right, who sits over there behind the glass, poking me whenever I get behind him, feeding me the good stuff and cutting out all the crap that I'm scanning through. Yeah. IntelliGel, I don't know what that was in reference to. Intelligent stuff. Metropolis. Okay, yeah. That's another possibility. Can stackable cables be used in the Audio 6 audio interface? No. No, they can't, because you need to have, on the first instance, you need to have a proper cable, a floating ring cable, oops, which has got that on one end, you know, like stereo to mono, but it's not stereo to mono, it's wired slightly differently. It's a floating ring cable into this. You can get it from Thonk or Expert Sleepers, and that's the cable that you need. It's not stackable. See, look, there's no stackableness on the end. If you were to get a stackable cable, you would need to get the other end made up into some special way. So your best bet is to take this. I've lost the world. Where's the thing I had before? Anyway. Oh, that's still flashing. Is to take this and stick it into a molt. And then that's like pretending to be a stackable, does the same job. And then you can stick a whole load of stackables into all of these and take those out as well. You see? Because the important thing with the Complete Audio 6, if you're using outputs 3 and 4, is that you have to get a cable that's going to combine the tip and the ring into a single signal. See, that's what's important. That's what's important. That's what we have to grasp. And how many jacks does the Audio 6 have? It doesn't have any. It has sockets. Well, it has 4 outputs and SPDIF if you have some way of converting that, but that's a whole different story. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4 outputs which are DC coupled. And not inputs, just outputs. It has inputs, just not DC coupled inputs. Okay. Catacombs under Paris. That sounds interesting. Well, funny enough, I'm getting, talking of retro kits, Mikkel, thank you for mentioning that. I have ordered the 004, I think it is, the MIDI splitter, in order to run my desktop synth little studio. So the plan is, I mean, it's only in my head, is MIDI keyboard into this thing, out to all of the keyboards, and I might have to use the odd through here and there to connect everything up, into a mixer, bish bash bosh, I've got one massive synth. That's kind of the gist of it, really. And then let's see what interesting things I can do with that. Erica sample drum. Is that awesome? I mean, I've seen sort of differing reports on it. Only in as much as... yeah, no, I mean, most of the posts I see on Facebook about it that I glance at from time to time seem to be about, oh, this isn't doing this or this isn't doing that. So my general feeling and impression of it is that it's perhaps not as awesome as everyone thought it was. But that's not based on anything real, purely based on an impression I've got. So it's good to hear from someone who says, oh yeah, that's awesome, try that. So maybe I will. But is it only 2 sounds at a time though? Is that right? Ooh, I don't know. I mean, I could always use a DAW, for heaven's sake. I've got my Surface sitting here. I could stick a load of drum loops in Ableton or something. But that doesn't seem to be what I'm trying to achieve. What I'm trying to achieve with this project is, you know, a desktop synthesizer-based studio with little synths, not big, fat, massive synths, with little synths. See what that's like. That's the plan. Yeah, the Varigate 4 Plus is very good at drum things. It's just, it's the swapping between channels that really gets me. The interface on it is so prone to tripping you up that you just do it. I always assume I'm going to trip up, and so I kind of do, because you never got it in the right mode. You go to adjust something and you go, oh right, I've just divided the tempo, when actually what I meant to do is increase the probability of that particular note. So it tends to be hard work because you're having to remember that I've got to press channel 2. I need it on note. No, I don't. I need it on repeat. No, I need it on track, so I can change the tempo and then put it back onto. I find it slightly frustrating to work with. It's great, and I do use it a lot, but to do variations of drum patterns on it, I think would drive me nuts. Just getting something going, yeah, that would definitely do it. Yeah, I do still have the Arturia Spark, the Spark LE, the Sparkle. I kept trying to sell it, but nobody wanted it. So I do still have that, and that's quite a phenomenal little thing. Oh, but again, you see, that's something that I have. What's the point of that? What's the point of getting something that I have and using something that I'm not using? You just don't understand me at all, do you? This is all of this. All of this is a charade purely in the pursuit of gear, of acquiring gear. That's all this is about. I don't care about you, don't care about the music, don't care about anything. All I care about, getting more gear. So that's what I'm trying to achieve. And if you're not going to help me, well, no, I'm only joking, right? Only joking. Ooh, trying to build a pseudo-random Eurorack baseline generator. That's a good pursuit. I like the idea of that. What do I think are the most interesting modules in Softube Modular? I don't use it enough really to say. I like the fact that they've taken on things like clouds. I mean, okay, big deal, whoopie whoop, so have other people. But also the bookler thing, I think that's really interesting. I think what Softube Modular do well is those specific modules and brands, perhaps. I think that's what it needs to do in order to remain kind of different and separate and expensive, I suppose. But those are really good. So that's, I think, where their vibe has to be, you know. And I hope they continue to release more, you know, interesting. And perhaps they need a splattering of more esoteric modules, I think. But the Electron model samples, the problem with that is that it just looks a bit... It looks a bit like a Yamaha sound module from 1996. It just does not fill me... I mean, there was that funny thing that when it was released, it's like, what the heck is that? What? It's a what? It's a sample... Oh, okay, so it's a... But it just looks a bit... Crap. What on earth did they do there? And then some guy released a demo video with stickers all over it. I think Bo put stickers all over his as well. And it's like, oh, that's so much better. So much better. Because it just looked a bit, ooh, no. So I don't know anything about it as such. As I say, I still can't connect with Electron. I can't seem to make that happen. So, yeah, okay. So again, okay, another thought. But it doesn't feel like it would be a drum machine. It feels like it would be something else. If you know what I mean. But all good. These are fabulous, fabulous suggestions. It's really got the back of my head here is spinning around trying to process all these bits and pieces. Oh, the Black Noir. Now there's a good idea. Yeah, the endorphin thing. 7 drum sounds, I think that is. 7 channels, but then that's a lot of gate sequencing. The Knit Rider. Don't know what that is. Sounds like it should be Knight Rider and spelt wrong. No, Softube Modular is a pay thing. It's £100, I think, and modules are similarly priced, but you get a bunch in there already. So no, that's a bit more of an investment, Softube Modular, and you need an iLock, all that kind of business. So it's a bit of a different thing. Yeah, I agree. The animation in Pigments is awesome compared to Massive X. I feel like we're going around this conversation. MI grids for patterns. I don't have anything by Mutable Instruments at the moment. Oh, I know, I do. I have Veils. That's exciting, isn't it? Their most exciting module. Pocket operators. Now, there's a thought. Drum machine app, yeah. I mean, I've got the Electribe on my old iPad somewhere. You think I'd like the DFAM? Okay, thumbs up for that then. Where's the new hardware sequencer I've been using? The generator, it's just over here. Has a very individual flavour, does the generator. Divkid's had one recently, doing a few demos on it, which is cool. It kind of just focuses on sort of doing a lot to one thing, I find. I'm finding things work better and differently in different situations. But what I imagine might happen with this group of synths that I'm going to get together, I might start finding a use for the Hermod. Our friend the Hermod, look at this. Had this ages and I've not done enough with it. I've done a bit with it, but I really feel I should do some more, and this might become a useful centre. You know, if I stick that in here with a bit of modulation and something, a delay, something like that to run stuff through, then that could become the centre of a bit of a synth studio, because it does have all these CV gates, but it's also got MIDI out, which I could run then through the MIDI splitter. And the best way to record into the Hermod is definitely via MIDI. That's the simplest way of articulating that. So maybe that's the best way forward. I don't know, but for drumming, not really. I mean, I could play it live and have that loop round. That could work. But then again, what's my sound source? The sound source could be that sound source thing that was at Superbooth. No, name escapes me. The division department. There you go. Someone just came up with that. Wow, man, we're so connected. The way this happens. Yeah, but it's not a drum machine. That's the thing. It's not a drum machine. It's a drum sound source. It has no ability to sequence itself. It has no drums or patterns. Rather, it has no drum machine, step sequencer, or pattern anything built in. It's purely a sound source. So you need something to run it. That's the thing. That's the flaw. The whole flaw with is it the O1V from the Division Corporation? Department, Division, I don't know. But yeah, that was the thing. So the sample, get out of it, fly, mozzie squeakies, get out of it. Oi! So the sample drum is like Dr. Rex loop player. Interesting. 2 samples at a time, okay. Interesting. All right. Well, I have at the moment a black stereo delay from Erica Synths, which I'm going to do a review of as soon as I can find the time, which I'm enjoying very much. So maybe after that I might go on the sample drum. Don't know. We shall see. We shall see. Hey, Accurate Beats. Good to see you, man. Okay, I think I might have got to the bottom. Bastille Instruments, Knit Rider. It's a small, easy to understand trigger sequencer. Is it? I've always wanted to have some Bastille stuff and never really found anything that does something that I want to do. So that's interesting. I don't have an Erica drum sequencer on the shelf, do I? No. I've got the Random Rhythm, which you can't see, I don't think. No, that's not the drum sequencer. This is half of a thing by Tenderfoot called Cells, which is an add-on to their Lattice sequencer, which I also have here, which is a great little 12-step sequencer. The Cells thing lets you play those individual steps and has a couple of other functions on it. But no, it's not the Erica Synths drum sequencer. That, of course, would be another possibility if I really wanted to throw some money at it, I think. Cheers, Riddle of Steel. Good to have you here. Thank you for your contributions. Which door is the most CPU efficient? That would be Rose Garden. I haven't had any graphical problems with Massive X or GUI problems, other than the fact it doesn't do anything. No, it's ran fine in my 10 minutes of play. Yeah, maybe just a Volca drum. Like I say, something simple. Volca drum, Uno drum, something like that was probably enough. Probably enough. Okay, so I've got to the bottom of the comments now, and it's 10 to 10. Good Lord, we've had a lot of stuff through. So if you have something, a question that's really been burning that you've wanted to ask or talk about or hear me blabber on about for a bit, then throw it in now, because I'm at the bottom, which means I'll probably see it, because it will come straight up with a bit of luck. So do that now, which of course you won't do for another 5 minutes because of a flipping time delay. Oh, I'm just going to get drunk. So what I'm thinking about that, coming up, what do we have coming up in the world of multimedia technology? Well, we have this collection of synthesizers that I'm putting together for this project. As I say, I'm just waiting for a MIDI splitter, and then I'll start hopefully generating some content on that. I've got episode 2 of Deker's Dream coming up this week. Possibly episode 3, where I'm going to be testing out my gear and building the little 3340 oscillator. That'll be cool, and then somehow I'm going to have to order the bits. That's really scary. But so then there'll probably be a bit of a delay until all those bits and pieces come in. So there's that going on. I've got the stereo delay from Erica Synths to do a review of, as well as all these individual synths as well. Trying to think if there's anything else pressing at the moment. Oh yeah, I want to do a video on the Nectar Panorama controller and how it works with Studio One. That's exciting for all your modular users out there. No, not really. But it's exciting for everybody else. Of course it is. That's what's immediately happening, I think. Because I've just got past a load of stuff. It's like I had a whole load of writing to do that I've just got past, which is great. And I had a few other bits and pieces, like doing the Complete Audio 6, Mark II, sorting that out, and then sorting that out a little bit more. Those were very important videos to do, I felt. Although they're not massive hits by any means, but it was just important information I needed to get through and felt that I could finish. So that was good. Which soldering station did I decide to buy? It's the one that everybody told me to buy, I think. It's called Hako. Hako, isn't it cute? Hako. It's an FX888D. It disappointingly does not have the knob on the front. It has a digital display, which I think is a shame. It's a shame. Although I quite like the fact that it's only got an up button. You can't turn it down, you can only turn it up, which is pretty exciting. Now, no one has satisfactorily answered my question of why I need temperature control on a soldering iron. I don't know why I need that. I like the fact that this is here so that my soldering iron comes out the front and not out of just a plug out of the wall. And I understand this to be an excellent soldering iron. But I don't know why temperature control is so important. I mean, I can guess that, oh, you need different temperatures for different sorts of solder. But when would I ever do that? When would I actually ever change the temperature of my soldering iron if you're assuming that I'm a bit of a numpty in these things in the first place? I just want soldering iron that gets hot, melts the solder, so I can solder. At what point would I go, you know what? I think I need to turn this down. When would that happen? When would that happen? When would I not want it as hot as possible? Or if there was one setting, why would it not always be on that setting? See, I ask the annoying questions. I mean, I've had a lot of answers to that. None of them have been remotely satisfactory. But there we go. You know, let's not challenge the accepted way of doing things. Good Lord, no. Let's keep going with our making ignorance a virtue. The Roly Loomy, yay or nay? Nah, no. What are they thinking? They've spent years on that, apparently. Years thinking about it. Oh, agonise now. How can we make it easier to play the piano? Oh, no, how do we do that? We put lights on it. Oh, great idea. Yeah, and we make an app. Hey, like Guitar Hero. Ooh, that'll do it. I mean, they've sold a gazillion of them, so it must be right, I guess. I mean, it looks great. It looks pretty and light up and stuff. I can see the appeal, certainly. But it's just it's a musical game with a controller, with a game controller stroke keyboard. So I don't know. I mean, it's not. I guess it's not aimed at me. I play a little bit. I'm not interested in playing a game with an app where I hit the right things at the right times. That doesn't interest me. So it's not for me. I'm not the market. But I'm sure for other people out there, it's an awesome thing. So yeah, well done. Well done. It's just not for me. Vermona twin cushion. Ooh, crikey. I'm going to have to look that up. That sounds like a thing. Oh, so there's a woo for the Hacko. Great. Okay, good. Glad that. No. Buy a simple SMD kit. No, that's not the way. The way is to get one of those hefty voice boards out, sit that down, stick 100 capacitors on it. That's the way. None of this practice lark. Cool, crikey, no. I mean, whew, that's a good idea, actually. It's a good idea. Do I have anything that has that already? I don't think so. But there was something that has surface mount. Is it the Penrose? Something that I've actually quite fancied. The Penrose quantizer, as in having another quantizer, is a useful thing. So that's a possibility. That's not a bad piece of advice. Whoever it was who said that. No, I've lost you. Temperature control. Okay, here we go, Michael. You're gonna tell us now. This is great. Great. Looking forward to this. What's he going to say? Temperature control on soldering iron. Some components are heat sensitive. Yeah, which ones? Some components is no use to me whatsoever. Some components. Which ones? How am I going to know? Do they come with a label on it that says I am heat sensitive, therefore please turn me down? Do they come with that? That's what I mean. This is secret squirrel information that's not available. I need to have been an electrical engineer for 40 years to know when I need to turn the soldering iron down. So yeah, I mean, I get that. I really do get that. The temperature control is there because some things are more sensitive to heat than others. But how would I know? How would I know? Do you see my conundrum here? I don't get. So what temperature do I put it for anything? I don't know. I don't know. Bloody scientific equipment, mate. It's just, it does me in. I'm just trying to have a go. I don't want to have to go on a course. I just want to have a go. I mean, maybe you're doing it, and if the thing catches fire, I then turn it down for the next one. I mean, maybe that's the rule of thumb, yeah? You don't know what a numpty is? Numpty would be someone who kind of enthusiastically doesn't quite get it. You know, a trier. Bit numpty. You know, it's a nice insult. You know, it's a friendly, cuddly kind of, yeah, just don't really get it. You know, a bit prone to accidents. You know, but with a smile on your face. That's kind of what numpty is, I would say. See, yeah, Skull Drazer, he knows what he's talking about. He never changes his temperature. He's just full on the whole time. 1,000 degrees. I've got no thoughts on oscilloscopes myself, particularly. Something I haven't looked into too much. Don't want to burn the flux. Ooh, what's the flux? I've got solder and I've got solder. Do I have a third arm with flux on it? I've got... What did I get? I might have got a tube of flux. Well, I know flux helps the thing melt. It's like adding a little bit of oil, mix, wax kind of thing to the stuff. Makes it flow better. But I'm not practiced in fluxness. Is there a flux form that I can learn? I don't know. But of course, no, I don't want to burn the flux. So I need to keep the... So what temperature do I need to keep it at to not burn the flux? See, that's a good... That would be an answer to a question. Not that you don't want to burn the flux. Oh, okay. I don't want to burn the flux. God, I'm annoying. Am I not? Am I not? What kit's only 50 quid? What kit? What, was I talking about the Penrose? Okay, cool. Wow, man! Accurate beats, thanks, man. That's really nice of you. I'm sorry I didn't see that earlier. I mean, it should make a noise or something. That's really great of you. Diodes are heat sensitive. Okay. So are capacitors. So are transistors. So what you're saying is all the components are heat sensitive. So probably the best thing to do is not solder them, because that uses heat. Ah, it's a flipping mysterious world. See, what I don't understand is, how is it that someone, a numpty like myself, crashes into this stuff, and yet I was able to build a perfectly serviceable VCO here, this one here. I used a soldering iron, which I had turned up to 11, because it had a little tiny dial on it, I think. And I made stuff. Didn't set fire to anything, nothing broke. It all just worked. How is that possible? I wasn't dead. I hadn't inhaled a load of fumes. I didn't wear safety specs. I'm just dancing and playing with death, I think. I don't know. DIY is this whole other world, you know. It's got this whole other stuff going on that makes it so impenetrable. I come up against this a lot. I mean, I don't mean to be an arse about it at all, because, you know, you've got skills, you've got soldering skills, you've got knowledge and stuff that I don't have. And that's phenomenal, and that's brilliant. But I'm all about trying to penetrate, got to remember the time, trying to penetrate into areas that are often shut off to people. Because, you know, Eurorack began with that, trying to get into Eurorack. It was really hard, just only a couple of years ago. And I really hope that I've helped make that easier, because I was bloody minded. I kept bashing against it, saying, how do these power supplies work? There must be a way of doing this without having to invent electricity. And I found a way through, and hopefully I've allowed more people through. And DIY is the same. It's the same thing. You just go bang, bang, bang. But, you know, oh no, you need a temperature controlled soldering iron, and you know, you need flux, and you need the wire stuff, you need an extractor fan, you need an oven, and a heat gun, you need a full body suit and protective visor, and then 3 years in university. I'm like, no, surely not. Surely, you know, surely you must be able to have a go and do it, because it's enormous fun. It's great fun, soldering, making things. And you have to be able to get in there, and that's what I'm about. And sometimes that comes across a bit arrogant. Absolutely, I completely understand that. But if I didn't push and didn't force at it, I'd just walk away and go and do something else, something less hard. But I like things which are a bit of a challenge, and I like getting into them, which is why I keep poking at it. What do you mean by temperature? What are you talking about? I mean, of course everything's heat resistant, you know. Set everything on fire, it burns. Mostly. So, you know. So that's what I mean. But anyway, but regardless, the influence has pushed me into buying a new soldering iron, which I think is a positive idea. I like that. I'm confident about it, and I'm going to do a little video on my old soldering iron and the new soldering iron, building that kit, just to see how that goes. I may find the difference extraordinary, and I hope so, because that'll make for a good video. I think that'll be interesting. Something else learned. 350 degrees C is a good ballpark. Great, thank you. Useful, thank you. Andrew. Look, I deliberately started at 9 o'clock for you. No, I didn't really. But you promised you would be here, mate. You promised. Well, you are. Look, it's 10:05. I need to start winding things up. But I've really enjoyed this chat tonight for some reason. I don't know why I've been so far behind the chat. Oh, I'm going to be attacked by a moth. Yeah, that's been a bit... Yeah, you are. You got 4,000 components to solder. Yes, I do. Find out a temperature that suits you. Fabulous. You see, I like that. I like that. I'm just going to go... Psst, psst. Oh, I think that's not quite right. Psst. No, yeah, that's about right. Oh, well, I don't know. We're just going to have to find out, aren't we? That's exciting. That's exciting. You do 850 degrees. I'm assuming that's going to be Fahrenheit, though, so I'll have to do a quick thingy on that. I mean, I'm assuming that the dial on a soldering iron doesn't really mean anything, and you just need to get it to the point where it's melting things properly and efficiently, you know, and then you don't need to put it up any higher. I mean, that's going to be my assumption on how it's going to work and how I'm generally going to approach it, I think. That seems to be about right. I just find it funny they're talking about. Oh, watch soldering videos. God, don't you know me at all? I need to scrub and wash the flux off. Oh, God. So what you're saying is, everyone keeps telling me, oh, yeah, you need some flux, right? Which I haven't been using any flux of any kind. And now I've got to, if I put it on, I've got to wash it off? What's that about? Have I crashed? I don't know. Oops, sorry, I just had something strange happen to my camera. And I hope you're still there, because I want to finish this off. So yeah, where was I? Flux breaks through the oxidization. Okay, cool, fine. Yeah, good. Yeah, no, I think I understand that. If your Turing machine's not working, put a clock into it. See, mine wasn't working when I first started it up, just all the lights were on. I had no idea, and then gradually the wheels started turning, and I put a clock in, and then it worked. I bet that's not your problem, because you're not so much of a numpty. No, I will be just banging it together. Oh, I've got to be nuts. No, I mean, honestly, I will try my darn hardest to get this Deker stream to work, because I'm really into the idea of having a polysynth at the end of it. So I really want it to work. I really want to do it properly and do it well. Well, to the best of my meagre abilities. Do you know what I mean? It'll be all right. It'll be all right. So, God, wow, you're talkers. It's amazing. Right, I have to wind this up. So let me just scan through and apologise if I missed your really important point. Yeah, problem with cheap soldering irons, they don't maintain a consistent temperature. Oh, I mean, that's that's probably been my experience, because you're there for a few hours soldering on one of these kits, and there comes a point at some point that it just doesn't seem to work, and I find that's enormously frustrating. It does no longer seem to be melting, and your solder is starting to go further and further up the soldering iron just to find a bit which seems to be hotter. At least that's what I do. So maybe that's just purely that. Maybe that's the problem that I'm experiencing with a lower quality soldering iron. So I'm hoping that's not what happens with the new one then. That's great. Right, so good. Profound. Yeah, I don't know where you're going that far, but thank you. I appreciate that. So that's it. Just keep throwing the stuff at me about flux up in the middle of your solder with your core and your water-based. It's awesome. Yeah, don't hold it by the wrong end. Yeah, got it. Comes with experience. Yeah. Don't need. Yeah, got it. Yeah, I mean, the thing about it just seemed appropriate. If I'm soldering 4,000 bits onto expensive bits of gear, it just felt worth the investment in a decent soldering iron. Even though it went against all my stupid principles of trying to keep it simple, it just seemed the right thing. You know what I mean? Right, yes, gotta go. I've got to go too. So yeah, I talked about what was coming next. That's fine. So I'll start this up again and play a little bit more music. One piece of news which I'm gonna put out there softly is that I've been asked by Sound on Sound to do a seminar at Synthfest this year, which is in October up in Sheffield, I believe, which is just phenomenal. I'm completely overwhelmed and bowled over by the idea. So it will be a getting started in Eurorack type seminar. So I'll do that. That sounds like a load of fun. I'll give that a go, and it frightens me and enthralls me all at the same time, the idea of doing that. I mean, I guess I could probably pull it off because I sit here doing this sort of thing, but that doesn't seem quite right. I think I might need to put a bit of effort into it. It might be great in my head, right? I'm really, really funny and engaging and entertaining. And I'm going to use some animation GIFs come up, and then this comes up, and I pop up on a horn sound and a wooga, and I don't know. But that's something I can work towards, and I've got time in order to put that together. So that's exciting, really exciting. Synthfest over in Sheffield this year. That would be good. The only slight downside is it means I'm no longer going for the day and taking my kids, which I enjoyed very much. Because I'll have to be going up the night before to do a bit of setup and bits and pieces, and then stay for the night afterwards, which has its own benefits of drinking beer and talking to people, which is nice. So pros and cons, but I'm very excited about the whole idea. So that's really cool. But thank you ever so much for coming along this evening. It's really much appreciated. I've really enjoyed talking for some reason this evening. I'm sorry if we've been a bit out of sync with the chat. That's just how these things go. Maybe there's a better way of doing this. I don't know. If you know about it, tell me about it, and I can ignore that too. That'd be great. So lots of good things coming along, and I'll turn off the mic, play some music for a couple of minutes just to see us out, and thanks so much for dropping by. Awesome. Great. Yeah, shut up now. Okay. So in the meantime and all that, go and make some tunes. Turn the mic off. You're very... Oh, there's no point talking now, is there? Here. yeah, sorry about the drums. That was terrible. That was just awful. Don't know what was going on there. It was funny because I was trying to just bring some drums in, so I was trying to bring some sync out of here. We're having not really looked into it at all, so I took the clock out, thinking that might just be a clock, and I stuck that into the variegate, and it just sent it ballistic, and it wasn't remotely in time or anything with the ARP. It requires a little bit more looking into, I think, and then that sent the Basimilus mad as well, just when I thought I could handle that kick drum a little bit, bring some more stuff in, I don't know. But this on its own, these two things together, are sounding really nice. Very much enjoying that. I could do a lot more of that. But time is getting on. It's already nearly 2.5 hours long, which is nuts. Who's going to sit around and look at this for 2.5 hours? It's just bonkers. So that's it. That'll do. Jarrett, thanks for jumping in. That's good to see you. Sorry that you come in right at the end and you're asking something interesting, I'm sure. But you'll have to save it for another time. Yeah, just get a load of stuff. That's always the answer, I think. And Skulldrazer, yeah, you're going off on one about the Hacko thing. That's great. I have one now. Yeah, we don't need to worry about it anymore. So that's ace. I'm glad I'm in that club, man. Cool. So yeah, thanks. I'm going to turn it off now, right? So thanks ever so much for coming, and do take it easy.